Welcome to Undiet Your Coaching Podcast. I'm Stephanie Dodier, clinical nutritionist and creator of the Going to Beyond the Food method, and I'm on a mission to help all coaches undiet their life and their coaching business. Ready? Let's do this. Hey there, colleague. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have a guest, Kim Hagle. She's a non-diet fitness coach, and we're going to talk about money. I'm going to get it out there. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about making money. We're going to talk about income goal. We're going to talk about achieving our goal. And we're going to do that in a respectful way, in an ethical way, in a way that we both feel comfortable talking about goal and money. And I want to be honest with you, and I want to be transparent with you that I am trying to figure out my way in talking about money in the context of business in a way that feels aligned, in a way that feels good to me. And again, to be quite transparent, I have not talked about a lot about money. If you go scroll back through the feed of the podcast, there's no any income goal claim and this person made $50,000 months and $10,000 months, and this person is making six-figure. I barely talk about my own amount of money I have in my business because I haven't found a way yet to do it in a way that I feel ethical. So maybe you're listening to this podcast a year after it was recorded, and you're like, what is she talking about? She's been talking about money for the last 6 months nonstop. Well, if that is the case, it's because I figured out a way that feels good to me to talk about money and that is ethical. But as of today, November 2023, I haven't figured that out. So me and Kim, being a student of mine, I've mentored her for almost at that point, we recorded the podcast for the last 2 years for sure, and maybe even longer. We started her business from nothing to where she's at right now, where she's meeting all of her goals. And funny enough, I'm recording this introduction to the podcast, and just a few weeks ago, I got this text via Voxer from Kim, and I'm trying to find it as I scroll through. I just found the text, and she sent me this picture of her beside a brand new car that she had bought. And I'm going to share, not the voice memo, but I'm going to share the story because, and only because Kim herself has shared this story on her public profile, because I don't want to divulge any confidential information. But anyway, she sent me this picture of her beside this brand new car with a bow on it and a very powerful and emotional voice memo that for the first time in her life, she had bought a car because of her income in her business, but mostly because of the inner work and the self-belief work that she had done, that she didn't resort to giving the decision of buying a car to the men in her life. So Kim shared on her public profile that since she was in an age of driving, and she's now in her 40s, every single car she had owned, she did not buy. She did not make the decision of it. She always passed that decision. And in some cases, the decision was made for her of what car to buy. And the work we have done over the last 3 years in building her business and building her confidence has landed her in a place where she owned the decision of buying the car all by herself. It wasn't about the car and the value of the car and the brand on the car. It was about the person she became in the process of buying that car, and all the self-belief and all the story and to some degree the trauma that she had to overcome to become that version of herself. And it was a reflection of the work she had done because she built a business. And to me, that's worth millions of dollars. And that's why I do business coaching work. Because when I approach business coaching with my client, I don't approach it about making it about the money, but about who you need to become in order to create that money. And that work, that these attributes, these skill set that you are building to become the version of you who can create money in your business, that will secure your future, because these skill sets will stay with you for the rest of your life. They're not a fluke. They're not you becoming viral in a post. You know how to create money, and you become someone who creates money. And the story of Kim you're going to hear next is the perfect example of that. And that's the work we do inside of the coaching program when we work together. 75% of the work is in your mind, in your body, in your emotion, in your nervous system. The tactical work, the strategy work, yeah, it's there. But that's not the main feature of my coaching. My coaching is about you and you becoming the version of yourself who can create money no matter what the circumstance. So with that in mind, I'm going to roll in the interview with Kim. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you on the next podcast. Hey, Kim, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited for you to have this conversation with me about making money. And right away, when we say that, people are like, oh, we're going to talk about making $500,000 and $2 million. And that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about meeting our goals. We're going to talk about making money, but probably in the perspective that you haven't heard people talk about it. So Kim, the point of conversation, I just want to set the tone for people. Kim texted me and said, I made my goal, right? You texted me saying, I made my goal. I've already halfway through the year, I made my goal. I'm really proud of myself. So I'm like, let's have this conversation publicly and let's record it and let's share it with the world to normalize making money and being proud of what we do without being $1 million.
Yeah, it's not a million.
You made your goal. You made your goal halfway through the year.
I made it a month early. I set a goal for the first half of this year and I achieved it by the end of May. So it was a month ahead of schedule. I was so thrilled.
Contextualize your business for people. How long have you been in this rendition of your business and what was the past? And then we'll go from here and how you got there.
Sure. So I am a size inclusive personal trainer and body image coach. And I've been doing this version of my business since March of 2020. I always remember the date because I opened my doors the date that the Prime Minister gave the stay-at-home order. It was really great timing for starting a business. So I have been working as a non-diet coach for that length of time. But I have been a personal trainer since 2012. So I have 11 years of experience under my belt. The first half of my business was done the old school, not non-diet way. And I actually left the industry for a couple of years in between because it wasn't working for me anymore. I was no longer able to maintain the physique and the image that I thought that a personal trainer had to have to be good at their job. So I left. I had been taught that my body was my business card. So I left for a while. And it was sometime during there that I was doing my own work and healing my body image that I came across your work and it blew my mind. And that I was like, this is what is needed. I have to go back to fitness. I really did miss it, but I didn't think I could. So that gave me the permission to kind of relaunch my business.
So experienced trainer in the diet culture way. I like this expression, body is my business card. I love that. Not that I support it, but I love the no pain, no gain that goes along with that.
Yeah.
And then so from March 2020 to June 2023, so 3 years in a brand new business, new format, new product, new everything.
Yep.
And it took 3 years for you to be able to make your goal. Give me more behind what does that mean for you making your goal?
Yeah, well,
Let's unpack that.
yeah, there's a lot to unpack, and I'm sure we'll dig into a lot of this, but I had a lot of stories about money. But one of the big ones that I internalized from following different business coaches and being in the entrepreneurship world was that making 100K as a coach was a sign of success. Like that indicates you've made it, you're good at what you do, and that's what every entrepreneur or coach should be striving for. So for the first, I don't know, year or two in my business, that was the benchmark. Like I was trying to make 100K and I was like striving and creating all these things and working my buns off and like trying to get there, never getting close. And about this time last year, I realized like how that number 100K carried the same kind of connotation as just lose 20 pounds and like all of your problems will be solved. Like I saw the parallels between diet culture and business culture. And we talked about this a number of times in your coaching program. And that just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like I had 100K as the thing that I had to achieve to be defined as successful and worthy and valuable and good at my job and all of this. And so I just fully rejected that. And for the second half of last year, I just gave up on money goals. I like just forgot about money and like really worked on creating safety in my nervous system around my value and my inherent worth and not needing to tie my success to a certain number. So there was a lot of work, which we can talk about in a bit, but basically last year, I just didn't even think about money. And then in January of this year, in our mastermind retreat, you coached us on setting a goal and you encouraged us to set a money goal. And I felt ready at that point. I had done a lot of work. I felt safe in doing that, but it wasn't going to be a 100K number. I was like, I've never gotten anywhere near to that. It feels unrealistic. But there was like, I had a threshold in my business every year. Actually, for as long as I've worked as an adult, I've made a certain number annually, which is kind of interesting. I knew there was something about this number. And I was like, I just want to make more than that. Like, I just want to get a little bit higher than that number because there seemed to be a block around it. It's 30K if we want to put it out there. It's 30K. So I was like, I'm going to like shoot for a little bit higher than that. And you told us to set a goal that was uncomfortable, but I wanted to stay in the realm of reality. So I set a goal somewhere between 30K and 50K for the first half of the year. And yeah, so by the end of May, I had achieved the number that I had set out in January. So it was a real testament to like the nervous system work that I had done, all of the safety I'd created, like the beliefs that I unpacked and learned to rewrite around my value and success, things like that. And yeah, it was a really proud moment when I kind of did my books at the end of June and went, oh my gosh, like
surprise.
I've done that.
What's interesting is that it was a surprise.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that you were like monitoring all along. It was just, oh, it happened. And I didn't even know.
That was really cool to me too, because in the past, like having 100K as the benchmark, I was very closely monitoring how close I was or how far away rather I was from that number. And yeah, like this year I held on to that goal. I was focused on that goal, but I wasn't hyper vigilant about it. I wasn't always looking and checking and like measuring everything. I kind of had an idea, but I was like, I'm just going to keep on doing my thing here. And that's what happened.
Talk to us about, you said the word money stories. I don't know that many people understand the stories that they have about money. And if they do, how it plays a role as an entrepreneur and a business owner. Because it's one thing to have money story when you're working with someone else and you're getting a paycheck versus when you're trying to create money.
Yeah. And I don't think I was aware of a lot of my money stories either until you coached us to really dig into it. But one of the big ones that I had was even around creating money, like being an entrepreneur. That was something that wasn't valued in my upbringing. Like it it wasn't considered honest work. It was almost like being a business owner and selling products is about ripping people off. Like, in order for me to make money, I have to take money from other people, and that's not honest. So that was a big one, right, that I had to look at and examine. Other things were like, money is hard to make. Money is scarce. There's never enough of it. What else was there?
Oh, you said money was your worth.
Yeah.
How much you make meant something about your quality as a professional.
Yep. Especially as a business owner, right? Like, in my past, before I got into the fitness industry, I was a nurse. So I had a good paying professional job, which I left. So I had stories about that too. You know, you left a job where you were paid well and all that, and now you're doing this and you're not making as much money. Like, I had that tied to my value. Like, I'm not as good at this, or I should not have done that, or I'm not supposed to be here. There are, a lot of stories around what the amount of money I make means about me as a person and how good I am at my job.
Yeah, and for people listening to this, it's very similar to the size of your body or the youthfulness of your skin and your look, at what it means for you as a woman. So what I have seen over the years is your story, my story, we think it's just about the body and the looks. And then when we become an entrepreneur, we're like, it's in our face that it's money also.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. Like you always say, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
Right. So I found I was very confronted with all of this when I healed my body image and my relationship with food. It was like, okay, let's just shift all that perfectionism and like scarcity mindset and lack of belief in myself to the business side of things.
So I'm curious to hear you reflect on, let's talk about the day-to-day action in your business, like either creating product or selling or doing consultation, because you do one-on-one personal training, so you do consultation. How does doing the day-to-day business activity are different today than they were when you started?
That's a good question. I think the biggest change is that because I'm less concerned about making money, I'm more concerned about providing value. Ooh. So, when I'm having a consultation, my goal on that call is, one, to help them, like, get to the root of their struggle and help them, give them a quick win, and to feel out if I'm the right coach for them, right? Like, so it means knowing that, like, being secure in my value and what I can offer, what I'm skilled and able to offer and do well. And if that's a good fit, if that will provide the value that they're looking for, right? So if it's a good exchange of value, and if it's not, then I'm okay to refer them out or to send them to someone else, or, offer them some resources to start with. But where in the past, I would have really tried to make that sale no matter what. Yeah.
Making the sales.
Yeah. And I was good at that. I could make the sale. But then there was a lot of clients I worked with that I kind of regretted. And that was the downside, right? Where now, if it's just about exchanging value, then I can tell if this is not going to be a good fit, if we're not going to work well together, I can send you somewhere else. And I feel fine about that. I'm not worried about that contract not being sold.
So you're more detached or unattached to the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel in your body differently, being detached from the outcome versus before, when you were having the money story and wanting to make 100K? How the doing your day-to-day work felt then versus now?
Yeah, well, how it feels in my body is it's a whole lot more relaxed. There's a lot less pressure. There's a lot less anxiety. There's a lot less people pleasing, like trying to impress the person on the call, where it's more just, let's have a conversation about your struggles and let's figure out if I'm the person to help you with that. Right. And then I don't take it personally if they choose to say no, or if I send them somewhere else, or, if they choose to say yes, even. It's all just neutral.
And you mentioned earlier in the conversation, I was creating all kinds of product trying to make money, where now it's different. You have less product in your portfolio. Is that what it is?
Yeah. And I know you're gonna be biting your tongue and wanting to say I told you so, because
Okay, but tell people the background so they understand.
Stephanie's coached me probably 1,000 times on shiny object syndrome.
Oh, that's where we're going.
Right?
People had no idea where we were going. She knew, but I had no idea. Shiny object.
Because I had this thing about I have to make 100K and I wasn't making it. So I was like, well, I must need to have a different product, or I must need to do something different or better. And I was constantly creating and trying out new things and making new offers and beating my head against the wall. And none of it was working.
Or not working. Classify that.
Well, I shouldn't say it
or
wasn't.
not to 100K.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I had to evaluate. You're right. It's not that none of it was working. Like I was able to sell everything that I created.
Yeah.
But it was spreading me really thin, for one, and it was confusing to me. Like I even got to a point where I was confused about what the heck I do. So I'm sure my audience was confused too. So, and I'm pretty sure you coached me on that as well. So I scaled everything back. Like I just like burned a lot of things right down to the ground. And not to say that they're gone forever. Like I've created a lot of really valuable content that I can pull from and use in other ways. But as far as what's forward facing and what I'm offering right now, it's scaled back really. Like I have my one-on-one personal training, one-on-one coaching. I have a group program and I teach group fitness classes live. Like that's all you get.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much easier.
So it's so much easier and you make the same amount of money volume wise. Is that it?
Well, more.
Oh, you make more. Look at that.
Yeah.
Why do you think you make more? What's your assessment of that?
Well, I think it's clear. I think it's clearer what I do and how I help people. I think I'm clearer on my zones of expertise, and I'm staying within that and really leading with value as opposed to just constantly throwing spaghetti at the wall and trying to be the best at everything. I'm like, I really shine in a couple of areas. So like, why not just hone in on that? And the funny thing is, I haven't done an official launch since June of last year. Okay. It's been a whole year. Like, and I've been intentional about sharing what I do, but as far as a structured launch,
yeah,
I haven't done. And so that's been really helpful too, because I used to get really stressed out about launching and putting programs out there in the world. I really had a lot of meaning attached to that and what it meant about me if people didn't sign up or did sign up. So I kind of rejected launching at the end of last year. And this year I had fully intended to launch in the spring, but a good friend had passed away. And so that happened right as I was starting to launch. And I just knew I didn't have it in me to push through where a past version might have. So I opted to not. But even without launching, I managed to create consistent revenue, which has built a lot of safety in my nervous system too, to know that even if I don't launch, I can be successful. And if I do launch and it flops, it's okay, because I know that I can continue to create money. Like things will continue to flow. I believe a lot more that I offer value and that I'm in demand and that people want what it is that I'm offering.
That's really powerful. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about this statement as not working.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hear that a lot, like things are not working. And when I get under the hood, they're working, meaning that 1 or 2 person will buy it, but our assessment is it's not working.
Yeah, because we're told that we have to sell out our programs and that, if we do a good job of launching or marketing, we should be able to get like 20 people in our group program or, but there's a lot around like what working means, right? But everybody makes it look like they're making 100K and they're pulling in like dozens and dozens of people and turning people away all the time, right? And that just wasn't the reality for me, but that doesn't mean that things weren't working, right? I think I had to really peel that back and take the beginner's mindset. I'm still 3 years in, fairly new at this. I'm still experimenting and figuring out what works.
And who says maybe you'll never make 100K?
And it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter.
And it's okay.
Yeah. But I've also learned like working, it's less about how many people sign up and more what are the results they're getting from doing the work with me, right? And when I look at that and the transformation that my clients have all achieved, I know that it's working. I know that they're getting the results that they want. I know that I'm delivering value. So, maybe I don't have a zillion signups, but it's working.
That's exactly what I was hoping to get from you. When we say it's not working is because we think of success only in money.
Yeah.
We don't think of success in impact, my quality of life based on how I want to live my life.
Mm-hmm.
We're only equating working with money.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're told. Business is about money. Yeah, we need to put food in the fridge and we need to be paying rent. But do we all need to make $1 million?
No, we don't. And that's something I really had to sit with, because I really believed for the first couple of years that I needed to make money. And I remember a coaching session with you where you were like, if you need to make a certain amount of money for your safety, for your survival, go get a job. Like, just go get your safety needs met so that your business doesn't have to be about surviving, right? You can enjoy your business. And I was like, oh, I don't want to get a job. Right. And that was a wake up call for me, because I was like, well, I guess that means I don't need to make this money. If I did, I could go get a job. I would go get a job.
You wouldn't have a choice.
Things that I could do. Right. Right. And that's what kind of the light bulb went off, is this is a choice. And I feel very privileged that I have that choice. But like in our family, my money, like the money I make in my business, is not needed to pay the bills. It's more for discretionary spending and things like that. So it's not like I need the money. So then I had to think about, well, then why do I have this fixation over 100K? And what is it that I'm here for? If not to need money and not to make money, why do I choose to do this every day? Why do I choose to get up and show up? And that was a really powerful awareness. It's nice to have money. And that was another belief I had to work on, is like, it's okay to want money, but I don't need it. I'm here because I want to be here, because I want to make an impact on the world, because I want to add value. I want to help people. And, if I happen to make a good income while I do that, then that's great.
It's interesting because for some odd reason in the coaching industry, the norm is to make $1 million and more. We could talk about 10-figure and 8-figure. The norm is making $1 million to reach that, and to make 100K and 200K and 250K. Yeah. And there's no other industry that is like that.
They kind of sell it as a get rich quick scheme, don't they?
Yeah, nursing wasn't like that. For me, the retail industry wasn't like that. No. We paid our supervisor and our manager 50, 60, 75K, and they were happy. They're living their life. Life was good. Why do we need $1 million?
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. And I don't
either.
I don't know why this is being sold to us. As there's so much marketing around that about
it's really like the thin ideal.
Yeah,
really like weight loss, and like your body is your business card. That's the very first thing you said in the interview. Like, the amount of money is your business card of how successful you are.
Yeah, like you can have this amazing life by being a coach and achieve, like, having an unlimited income ceiling, but you can have an amazing life right now, just like you could have an amazing life in whatever body you have. You can choose to make your life and have an amazing life anytime.
And what amazing means to you is different than me, and it's different than the next person.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if for you, you're raising kids, you have kids in the house, and having an amazing life is spending more time with your kids. That means working less. Then, I don't know, making 75K a year is like total happiness for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm not someone who needs like Prada bags and designer clothes and, $50,000 vacations. That's not a value I hold, right? I just, like you say, I want to spend time with my family. I want to like make a contribution to the world and to my family. I don't need
that for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting because I see the same pattern again when we put the focus on the money, and when we say we make money and we make it equal like 6-7 figure, it actually is very counterproductive to the quality of action we take in our business.
Mm-hmm.
We don't show up. We go into on and off cycle. We disappear for 2 months, and then we come back for 2 months. And then here's something very interesting. It came out of me the other day in a coaching session. When we do that, when we like, and then many of you will identify with that, you show up for 2 months on social media and then you disappear for a month. Everybody's been there. And then you show up when you need to make money.
Yeah.
Right? When like you need to make money or you're launching something. And realistically, it's like taking our clients like an ATM machine. Think about that. Like when you go away and you only come back to sell things, what kind of relationship do you have to your audience?
Yeah. Which kind of feeds into that belief I shared at the beginning about how entrepreneurship is dishonest, right? Like in order for me to make money, I have to take from you, right? And it's really icky. It's not a fun way to do business.
And it's only because of the 100K and what it means to you.
Yeah.
If you didn't have that, or if it was neutral, you would show up every day naturally.
Yeah. And I found that's really shifted for me since I've had a more neutral mindset about money. A belief I adopted is I help people at every stage of their relationship with me. So whether I'm writing a social media post or writing an email or creating a podcast or launching a program or working with a client one-on-one, like I'm there to support them. I'm there to provide some sort of help. So that's really changed. I struggled with social media at the beginning too, but I think that's because I thought that they're supposed to convert. When you put up a post, it's supposed to convert. People are supposed to click the button and like book a call with you. And no, I'm just there to serve. I'm there to add value. I'm there to help. So, it's not about whether they click the button or whether it's not a transaction. I want to just show up and serve.
I want to talk about, it's been 3 years in business, right? You said you began in March 2020 and it's now 2023. So it's been 3 years in the making. I want to have this conversation also to help normalize the time that it takes to be in a, call it steady business. No matter how much amount, it's just steady. Income comes in regularly. You have like your processes, like it's just like going to work every day, but you have your own business. And it's not normalized. Yeah. People think they're going to start a business and then boom, 6 months later, they're going to make the same income as their work before. It's not like that. Do you agree with me?
I agree. I mean, maybe it's like that for some people. There might be the lucky few, and they're the ones who go on to promote all this toxic business culture. But I don't think that's normal. And like of all of the entrepreneurs and coach friends I have, that's not been any of our experiences. Like it takes time. It takes dedication, commitment, and a whole lot of inner work, like, and commitment to keep doing that inner work over and over, as long as it takes.
Yeah. I was sharing that before we start to record, but the pendulum is starting to swing the other way, where the people who made the $1 million doing the toxic business culture are now realizing, I don't know, they're burning out, or they're realizing that what they were doing wasn't right. And now they're starting to come back to the other way. And now people are looking at them and saying, oh, look, they don't do anything all day long. That means I can have a successful business, me too, just walking around and picking mushrooms. I'm like, why? Like now we're swinging way to the other side. You're going to have to show up in your business to make money, to build an audience, to build trust. Trust is not going to fall off the sky either.
Yeah, we don't see how much work went into making that $1 million and how much hustling and burnout and like blood, sweat, and tears. Right.
Yeah, to have that audience that you can now sit and just make it a regular income, but you got to build that.
Yeah. And also, I'm sure I don't have evidence of this, but I'm sure there are a lot of like entrepreneurs who make that $1 million who still end up burning it all to the ground because they burn out and they hate it. And, like you coached us on, if you have money problems making 10K a year, you're going to have money problems making 10 million a year. Like the same stories are going to follow you. And just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean that you're going to feel better or be able to manage it better.
It's how you make the money. It just popped into my brain as you were saying that it's not the amount of money you make. It's how you learn to make it. You can make $10,000 and it's going to be exhausting. You can make $100,000, it's going to be exhausting. You can make $100,000 easy and you live the life of your dream, and make $1 million living the life of your dream and easy is how you do it. And I want to take this further. It's not just how in a tactical, it's how in a mindset.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest learning this year is that I've made significantly more money than I've made in previous years. And it's been really easy. I really haven't put a lot of intentional effort into trying to bring that revenue in.
But it's probably the same number of posts or the same number of webinar, but you're doing
it just feels different. It feels easier. It feels lighter. It feels like I can just show up and I can do it. It's not like pressure and grinding and hustling and is it enough? Did I do it right? There's not that level of doubt.
And so I want to say, and it's making more money.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of the mindset work you did to not attach certain emotion to the action and just do a webinar neutrally and be detached from the outcome. That's what makes it easy. It's the mindset work behind the webinar, not how you do the webinar.
Exactly. I wanted to ask, maybe you can coach me on this part too, but one thing about that, I feel like there's a lot of toxic messaging out there about like the think and grow rich kind of stuff. If you get your mindset right, then you'll make the money.
Yeah.
And while I agree that, the thoughts that I'm thinking now and like the nervous system work that I've done have allowed me to do my business with more ease and more revenues coming in with more ease, part of me hesitates because then the flip side of that is if my business is slow, like it is right now, like the summer months in my industry tend to be quieter months, I'm not going to now turn around and make that mean there's something wrong with the way I'm thinking or my beliefs must not be good enough because I'm now seeing a dip in my business. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what's the question exactly? The think and grow rich or manifesting money, is that where we're going with this?
Yeah. I guess I hesitate in going like, my thoughts created this money because then if I'm not making money, then I'm thinking I'm inclined to think I'm doing something wrong.
So to that, I would say it's a basic thought error and black and white, all or nothing thinking.
Right.
The other thing I want to add to this is when we think about thinking grow rich, manifesting money, it's not, I think we're programmed to have a paycheck coming in every week. Like money's going to come in consistently, right?
Right.
When you think about thinking grow rich, could it be making $50,000, I don't know, in the launch and not making money for 4 months?
Right.
And making $20,000 and not making money. And the whole year you made $70K, but it came in 2 lump sum. Does that mean the 10 months out of 12, you didn't think thoughts?
Right. Yeah.
So now I'm going to go to the tactical. Your business is structured to bring in big sums of money.
Mine isn't. No,
but I'm saying like if this is what's happening, you just have a structure that flows the money into you like this. And then we got to talk about privilege. Think and grow rich is like I don't want to say the epitome, but it's like privilege on top of privilege on top of privilege. Right? Yeah. It's like I met a coach recently coming out of life coaching who came out of certification and then she launched a 6-month program for $10,000 because her networking circle is all doctors because her husband is doctors and neurosurgeon and wives of neurosurgeons and so forth. So everybody can afford 10 grand like this. So she made $100K in 2 months.
Right.
By selling 10 packages. You probably sold more packages than that in a year and didn't make $100K because you don't have the audience that can afford $10K for 6 months.
Yeah. And I guess that's where I feel like some of the messaging is kind of toxic around, well, if you just think thoughts, you can earn $1 million. Well, like, no, like, so does that mean her thoughts are better than mine? Right? No, I don't believe that.
I think that if you think about the messages as being a circumstance, right, you can give it the interpretation that you want, right? So you're giving it the interpretation of good or bad versus me, I'm like, what's the circumstance around it?
Yeah.
Right? What's the privilege of the person versus the other person?
Yeah.
What's their past experience versus like there's so many things. What environment they're in. Right now we're in a trend where life coaching for women like sells exorbitant amounts of pricing that we don't see in any other industry. And And a lot of people who are coaching millionaire come from the life coaching industry where it's normalized to pay 10K for 6 months.
Mhm.
And that's a lowball pricing. But if you are a fitness coach and you don't have the quote body for the business card, are you going to be able to charge people 10K if you don't sell weight loss?
Probably not.
It's contextualize it,
Right.
makes it a lot different than just taking the thought and saying what's applicable to everyone. That's how I would see it.
Yeah.
What do you
No,
think?
that helps. That clears it up. There is a lot of black and white messaging out there in the business world, and that's what we end up internalizing. Is it's just this simple: think these thoughts, you're going to make $1 million. Well, no, there's like a whole lot more to it. And I guess the first thing is that even the goal, right, is making $1 million.
Well,
as we talked about, right? But
what is the life that you want? At the end of the day, if you want to make 100K in a normal industry, quote unquote, are you willing at the beginning to work a lot?
yeah,
Not to say that the hour is going to be exhausting if you have a good, clean mindset, but are you willing to not pick mushroom 4 days a week and instead try posting every day and writing in different way until you figure out which way you need to write for your people to connect to you? Like, are you willing to put those efforts? I think that's more where it's at.
yeah.
And if you were a worker, quote unquote, you had a job and a business, where did you work the most?
Oh, in my business, 100%.
No hesitation.
Like, in fact, my job that I had before this was 20 hours a week. Like, I left a job that was 20 hours a week to trade it in for, well, at least at the start of this business, I don't know, it was probably 60 hours a week at the beginning, right? But
Yeah.
but I found that job to be too stressful at 20 hours a week, and then
More exhausting, more physically, mentally, emotionally demanding. That's the other thing when we go into business. Do we calculate the value of living the life that we want in the freedom of expression and the freedom of time and schedule? How much is that worth to you?
it's worth an awful lot. An awful lot. Yeah.
Right? For me, it's worth traveling wherever I want in the world. And when I say to people what I do, they would pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to do what I do. They would let go of that, of their job, to be able to do what I do. That to me is worth a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, it is to me too. And I think about, I get to work with amazing clients, like who I really enjoy showing up and talking with every day. And I get to have the flexibility to be there for my kids after school every day, or to give them rides to hear they're going their school field trips, and create. I get to create whatever I want, whenever I want, right? Like, that to me is worth an awful lot. Like, I'm going to confess, I never really loved having a boss and having someone else tell me what to do and having to like use my brain power to achieve their goals. I want to do what I want to do. And that's the ultimate creative expression. It's fun.
So what's in the future for Kim?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Now that she knows how to make money with ease, and she doesn't equal making money with hundreds of thousands of dollars, her goal, she knows how to make money enough to live a good life. What's in the future?
I think more of the same for right now. You know, I'm having cleaned up a lot of this stuff. I'm at this place where I'm really enjoying what I'm doing in my business. I'm going to continue working one-on-one with people. I have a group body image, intuitive eating program. I love to offer that, 2 or 3 times a year. Like, for right now, I'm just going to kind of keep doing what I'm doing. I haven't thought too far in the future. I'm just enjoying.
And for now, for you, based where you are in your life, with your family, with your kids, you can probably do the same thing for the next 5 years?
I think so.
And be happy at home and like having the whole thing well settled and where life is good all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at some point I would like to transition away from personal training and teaching fitness. Like, I'm getting to a point where I just kind of want to, at some point, I will want to do my own movement practice and get away from teaching fitness. But that's where, having the cognitive behavioral coaching skills really comes in handy, because I'll never work myself out of a job. Right?
You can coach anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it was really nice having this conversation with you.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
I'm hoping that people listening to that will normalize making money, and just the title, making money, what that means and how easy it can be. And it can mean anything to you.
Yeah. 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 I really hope that people find this helpful.
Ready to shed diet culture from your practice and help more clients do the same? Awesome. We've got free resources to get you started. Simply go to stephaniedodier.com/pro series, all in one word, and access our 3 free training classes that are currently available. We also have a free PDF guide to intuitive eating and article about the non-diet approach. We also offer a variety of paid programs throughout the year to support you in your journey to undiet your coaching practice. Join us at stephaniedodier.com/pro series, and I'll see you on the other side.